Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the J's Up podcast. Today, we're going to be interviewing a COVID-19 survivor, one of our very own Southwest Javelinas, one of our teachers, Miss Joanna Diaz. So today, I, your host, Christopher Nicanor, and Jaime Leal, are joined by Mrs. Diaz, and we're going to go ahead and ask her some questions about her experience, how maybe she figured maybe her symptoms, things like that, ways she contracted and or avoided this virus. So, Ms. Diaz, welcome. Hello.
Hi.
I mean, um, you have tested positive for COVID-19, correct?
Yes.
And so, how are you feeling right now? Anything out of the ordinary? Anything that's a little different?
Well, it's been a dynamic experience because every day has been different. Today is
Mm,
actually, I feel, one of the better days. Um, it's Yesterday was the first day I was fever free since I got sick. So I've had nonstop fever ever since I got sick, and so I feel like I'm finally in that upward part of the illness to where I'm
mhm.
finally starting to get better.
How, how long have you known that you're positive?
I would The test confirmed me on Monday, not this Monday, last Monday,
Okay.
and um, but I'm figuring that it was because I started feeling sick on that Friday and I tested that same day.
Hmm.
So I mean, I kind of had a feeling that day,
Oh,
Friday before. I was scared and hoping it wasn't, but
yeah.
they confirmed it that same Monday.
Yeah.
And so like, what are obviously there was you had fever, but what are some other symptoms you may have felt? Was it like shortness of breath or anything like that?
I I actually had pretty much almost everything in the book.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I had the fever, the body aches, nausea, the dry cough, a lot of phlegm, congestion, the runny nose. I had loss of smell for like 2 or 3 days. Um, Shortness of breath, the fatigue. I had everything, and what I was trying hard was not to allow it to develop into pneumonia.
Hmm.
I was struggling with the phlegm buildup uh,
Hmm.
from for a few days. I got to the point where I was really having a hard time breathing, and I had to go to the ER for one day, um, just to kind of help me out. And then I was able to come home after that day. But it's been difficult. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That seems like crazy to me because some people are completely asymptomatic. They test positive and they're living like their normal life. Like they don't even feel like this like a disease in them or a virus in them. They feel like completely fine. And to see like this contrast when you say like you've experienced all of these symptoms and some people have yet to experience a fever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a very interesting point because my little brother as well, he also tested positive. He's staying
mhm,
with my mom. I'm here in my house, right? But um, his experience has been totally different than mine. Um, like he had fever for one day and he had loss of smell and taste, but that was it. So he pretty much feels fine. And whereas me, I've had fever every single day since I got sick, and I've been like really, really struggling with the illness. So
mhm.
it's different for everybody.
Hmm.
And see that's the way I found like a lot of people like spread the diseases. They don't even know they have it because they're asymptomatic, and so they go out and then spread it to other people. And those people may not be as asymptomatic as this person, and so these people never get tested because they figure like, oh, well, I don't have any of the symptoms. But right now, you can go ahead and get tested if you have insurance. It's pretty much covered. And so if you can, guys, please go ahead and get tested. Make sure that you're safe. Make sure you keep that your family safe, your community safe. And yeah, but I want to ask you because I mean, it seems kind of passive aggressive to ask this, but I don't mean this in a passive aggressive way. But what did you do to make sure that you could avoid it, and how do you think you like contracted it?
Honestly, I did everything that they were asking in the guidelines. I would wear my mask all the time when I went out. I would wash my hands. I would keep my distance from people. We even had like a cleaning station right at the entrance of my house. So every time we came back from running errands or anything like that, we would disinfect right at the doorway. I would wash my hands. But honestly, I'm thinking I just may have, because I did keep my distance from people. I wasn't like without a mask anywhere, and I'm thinking the only thing that I could think of is I may have touched something and maybe I didn't wash my hands as soon as I was supposed to, and I probably like touched my face and got myself sick that way. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
So you did indeed follow all the guidelines that have been like requested for us to follow, which is good. That's really good, Ms. Diaz. I commend you for that.
Yeah. What's something that you might want like the people to know about COVID-19 that they might not be saying in the guidelines or something like that?
I think people just don't really understand how contagious it is. That it was kind of an eye opener for me when I got sick, because everybody says like, oh, like, well, you're young, you don't have to worry about it and things like that, and I'm over here and I'm really struggling with it.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke. People should be taking it seriously. One of the things that really bothered me was when they told me the timeline of when I possibly contracted it, because they say like you start showing symptoms within like 2 to 3 days.
2 weeks. Yeah.
I don't know what you're telling me. I was thinking that within that time frame, I noticed a lot of people in general when I would go out to the grocery store or things like that, that they were always like, they were totally like laid back as far as like they were just acting like, oh, well, the governor said we can come shop and do all these things, so COVID doesn't exist anymore. And that kind of surprised me that, it seemed like people jumped from phase 2 to like phase 5, like, and because I was walking around and it kind of freaked me out that I saw a bunch of people, like majority of the people were already not wearing masks. They were taking their kids out with them as well. And that to me was very scary to watch. And I don't know, it's very worrisome for me how people are not really taking it seriously. And I do think they need to continue to follow the guidelines.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
just when was it? Sunday? We got sent out like a almost like an Amber Alert, just an emergency alert, telling us like, things are getting bad. Keep wearing your masks. Like, although it's not required, it is heavily recommended, because I mean, you still see people going out there without a mask. Yesterday alone, there was 248 more people who tested positive for COVID. In Hidalgo County alone, there's 3,542 people like who have been confirmed tested positive for COVID. And it's like the past week alone, the average for the past week is 207 a day, which, I mean, and people still aren't realizing like, oh, that's kind of a lot of people, considering like, I could go out and then it spreads even more and more and more and more. And many people haven't even gotten tested, which is scary.
Yeah.
And so like, there's so many factors leading to the point where we should take this more seriously than anything possibly before, because of how creepy it is. Because some people can experience like you, complete all the symptoms, everything from fever to nausea, and some people are completely fine. Maybe, like you said, your brother goes through one day of a fever, and that's the scary thing, is nobody is necessarily safe, but those who are feel like they can just go out and, experience their lives as normal. But it kind of feels like those people are selfish in the sense that they don't really care about the people around them just because they're asymptomatic or something like that. And I mean, it saddens me to see like those kinds of people like go by without a mask, like you said, take their kids to the grocery stores without a mask, and like really show no precaution for the life around them and their own. And it's just really, really sad to see. But
Yeah.
you want to continue, James?
Okay. Well, I know, like it must suck because we're all here in the house, and I understand that everybody wants to go out because restaurants are open. Everything seems to go back to normal when in reality it really hasn't. It's gotten worse, and it sucks because some people are fighting really hard to stay inside, and other people are out enjoying their lives, but only to get other people sick, and it's just making matters worse. And we just need to work together, stay home, so we could hopefully get back to normal and stuff, and we could see our friends and say hi and spread love to the world and stuff like that.
And so, Jaime, piggybacking off of you, you say like hopefully things will get back to normal. Mazias, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on going back to school in the fall? How good of an idea do you think that is? And how good do you think we're going to treat this? And I mean, anything you're worried about, because I mean, you are a teacher, and how do you feel is safest for you to go about the fall semester of the 2020-2021 school year?
I'll have to say that my opinion has changed, and it's still changing. I know I was very optimistic about going back to school when the cases were really going down, and around March, April time, when there was like the hardcore quarantine for everybody, and that made me optimistic that we might be able to get back to normal in the fall. But then once we started opening up and the cases started going up as well, that kind of worried me. And then also going through the experience myself, I generally consider myself, I've always been very healthy as far as like being able to fight off illnesses when I get sick. It's always been really hard for me to get sick in general. And I know not a lot of people are as lucky as me to have that type of immune system, and look how I'm struggling with it, and I saw just recently a friend of mine, his nephew passed away from COVID, and he was 30 years old, like really young. And that was an eye-opener for me too, that, because people say if you're young, you don't have to worry if you have COVID and this and that. And I'm 29, and that's like, like that's crazy. So I'm kind of, now I'm thinking that there's no harm in waiting a little longer, maybe starting off online, and if, play it on a case by case basis as far as like how the cases are going. I think in order to go back to school, it has to be practically non-existent in our area, because it's just so contagious. It's just so contagious. Anybody can get it. And I know in a school area where everybody's so close together, closed in, I know how the kids are. They like to share their snacks with everybody.
Yeah.
Let me have some, and I know how you guys are. You guys cannot resist sharing things and sharing.
We're selfless.
You guys taught us since elementary school, sharing is caring.
Selfless individuals, all of you. None of you are selfish. And but that's what worries me, is the fact that I know how students are, and how hard it is to get students to even follow basic rules. Imagine trying to
enforce
to enforce the regular rules plus all the CDC guidelines as well. Like
Yeah.
from a student's perspective, that's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
So, I would just say like it would be wiser to maybe start online for a while and just wait. And I don't think that there's any harm in waiting. Better safe than sorry.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think that's completely true. And what you say, like you've experienced these symptoms yourself, and you wouldn't want anyone else, no student, no other teacher, faculty member to experience the things that you're experiencing. And I mean, that's a very nice way of looking at it, and a very selfless way of looking at it, in the sense where, like, although this may be like kind of like the best educational experience, it's not worth maybe even one person losing their life over it, or losing their livelihood, or losing a parent, or losing anything. Like it's really not worth it in that case. But I mean, I look forward to this school in the fall. The three options we were handed they were very vague right now. And I think they need to get more into depth as to what the district means by that. The hybrid classes, or the hybrid schedule, and then the online, and then the in person. It seems just very vague right now, and there's not very clear, like, this is what this means and this is what this means. So I think once we get more information on that, we'll go ahead and talk about it. But I want to ask you, because I feel like we've talked about this a lot, and how you can avoid the virus, which is most importantly staying home. And if and when you need to go out, if ever, which I know we do, groceries and food are very important. But if and when you go out, please, please, please wear a mask, and please, please, please continue practicing social distancing. But um, Ms. Diaz, what are ways, I mean, what's the best way as of right now? I mean, obviously things are still opening, things are starting to close up again, which is great. So as of right now, as things are still open, what is the best way you think like people can avoid, contracting the virus?
I mean, the best ways to stay home, so that you don't expose yourself and others, just because you don't know if you are carrying the virus.
Hmm.
And if you do, the least you can do is wear the mask. Um, have Germex with you just to make sure
Hmm.
or something, just to kind of help out with that. Make sure you
Right.
wash your hands. Maybe I would say wash your hands before and after your trips or whatever you need to do, because like we said before, you don't know if you're asymptomatic, so you could be spreading the germs through your hands as well. So it's important to wash before and after. Um, and it's just something that now, I guess, for me, um, I know that I won't leave, um, unless I have to, and that's kind of how I was doing it before. But now I'm kind of scared for my family. uh,
Yeah.
I've been,
Yeah.
my dad has been one of the ones that he's kind of been running errands for me since I've been kind of quarantined here. So he'll volunteer to like bring me something, and that worries me because he's a lot older, and I don't want him to risk getting sick at my expense. And so,
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, I don't know, the things like that, like my parents, they worry me that they'll go out. But I think the best thing we can do at this point maybe is to really um, support those delivery options and use curbside. Um,
Hmm.
the curbside, I've been using that. Well, not the curbside because I can't leave right now, but
Yeah.
I've been using the Favor app a lot. They bring your groceries to the door, to the house. So I think there are ways of, ways that we can be proactive about it.
Hmm. That, I mean, Miss, it's unfortunate that you have contracted this virus, and I mean, I wish the best for you and your family and your
Same
brother.
here. Yeah.
And I hope you feel better soon. You said today was one of your great days, one of your good days, rather. And
First,
hopefully you continue to have your first good day. And hopefully you continue to have more, hopefully you continue to have better days. And I'd like to thank you for joining us and speaking about your experience with COVID. And have a great day, miss.
okay.
Thank you.
You.
And Jaime, hey, in a bit
Yeah.
more positive news,
Okay.
we have gained a new member of our faculty, a
A
new
new
assistant
member.
principal who I believe will take over our either our senior class or our freshman class. It is our new assistant principal, Alma de la Rosa. Alma
Wow.
de la Rosa, welcome. Ms. de la Rosa, welcome to PSJ Southwest. Welcome to the Javelina family. And Ms. de la Rosa used to teach biology from 2017 to 2019. And
Yeah.
so I know she's going to be great in hitting our sciences. And
The science
so she's
scores
good.
through the roof, man.
Let's hope. Let's hope. And yeah, I thought that was something we should share. We should all welcome Ms. de la Rosa with
Open arms,
open arms. Thank you, Jaime. I was trying to think of that.
but
We
but
should
not
welcome
too
her.
open because of COVID-19. Just saying.
Right. Just open arms, but 6 feet apart.
Yes.
And so remember, guys, you guys need to stay safe. You guys need to practice social distancing, practice self-isolation, practice self-quarantine so we can maybe overcome this hump in our lives, which has only gotten bigger because things are opening up and hopefully things get closed up so that way we don't mess with this anymore.
And we
Yes.
get to see our new principal. And we get to see our new
And
principal.
it all works out.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited. I joined the school like a couple semesters ago. I don't know everybody, but I'm about to get a brand new teacher that's not a teacher, a principal. And I'm really excited because she might be helping us out our senior year.
And so also, if you guys don't know, there is a new COVID-19 testing site, which is located on our campus. It's going to be available from June 29th to July 2nd, which is coming up soon. So if you haven't, go ahead. It's going to be open from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. The address is 300 East Javelina Drive, located in FAR. It's right near Peter Piper Pizza. You just keep driving down that road, and then you're going to hit Javelina Drive, and then it'll be right there on your left if you're coming from Peter Piper. So it's FDA approved. It's a drive-through testing. $100 for non-insured and no copay if you are insured. So it's a very available thing, very affordable thing for all families, I hope, in the area, in FAR. FAR is the fourth most infected place in Hidalgo County, the most infected city, the fourth most infected city in the county. So it would make sense just for everyone to try their best to get tested to make sure that they either don't have the disease or their infection or the virus, and to make sure that they don't continue to spread the disease or virus or infection. Anyway, guys, this has been the third episode of the J's Up podcast. It's been fun. I think I've learned a lot about the things that the virus does to a person.
For
And
sure, man.
I just want to say, stay safe, stay informed, and thank you for watching the J's Up podcast. Have a great day.
Have a great day.